All right, we're gonna try this again because somehow we disconnected and now it's back up again. But anyways, welcome RGT85 to the show. Yeah, this is one of the few recordings that I wanted to be able to get on the show because I think around June last year that there were a few people that mentioned Rob Man, Steve Rightway, and then one of the other ones that was a big request was for you. I don't even know where else to start with the beginning of this recording, but thank you for hopping on for this little bit of recording we got going on today.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on. Sorry it took so long. We actually first talked about this on the day that I ended up in the hospital back in January.
Yeah,
So very
yeah.
weird circumstances, but now we finally are getting together. So I'm glad to finally do this.
Well, it's a pleasure to be able to get you on here for this because, yeah, like I said, it was I think it was like right around January 15th, and I even sent like a message back saying it's like when you're good and healthy again, so just feel free to message back. And yeah, I'm glad that you're actually doing better. Has it seemed like your life has been, I wouldn't say like less chaotic, but just about a bit more easier going after that health scare that you were able to experience that time?
It's different, I would say, because obviously I have like different habits now. I quit smoking cigarettes, which I was smoking cigarettes for over 20 years.
Mhm.
Um, I eat better, I check my blood pressure, I take lots of blood pressure medicines and stuff like that. I still have lots of doctor's appointments and stuff. So I would say it's different, but it's starting to get more normalized and all that sort of stuff. So I would say it's about the same. It's just kind of different. Like what you focus on is kind of different than what you used to focus on.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I think a lot of people that after watching your video updates where you were just informing people of like how you're doing and how much healthier you are, and I think a lot of people took that to heart to be able to try to improve their lifestyle and like make themselves also as healthy as what you're trying to go through as well. Does it seem like you had a lot more people in like full support of your healthy living style? Because it does seem like you were getting a lot of like positive well reception from just those video updates that you were putting out.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people took it to heart because, a lot of us are getting older and stuff like that. And like, it was just very unexpected for me personally to go through something like that. And, obviously there were signs, but you tend to ignore the signs. It's like, oh, it's whatever. And then once it actually hits you, it hits you. And, if you don't have insurance and stuff like that, then all of a sudden
Hmm.
it's the big bill that you got and stuff. It's like, oh, damn. So, it's better to be preventative than have to be reactive. But if I had to be the sacrificial lamb for being reactive so that people would then in turn become preventative, like that's fine. It could have been a lot worse. The situation could have been a lot worse. So, that's the way I look at it.
Back to what you said about signs. Now, you mentioned on like one of the first early updates that you put out for the channel that you were talking about like issues with your jaw, that you started to notice like some weird pain or some weird tingling going on. But was there other signs that you were experiencing that you ended up having those heart problems or like any sort of blood pressure issues?
No, yeah, there totally was. And I always just thought it's just how I was. Like I
Hmm.
always had a really fast heart rate and I just thought that's how I was. Sometimes I wouldn't be able to sleep because my heart rate would be going so fast and there was like no way for me to slow it down. I was just like, "Oh, well maybe I'm just not tired, maybe it's this that or the other." I would constantly sweat like all the time. Like it would be cold out and I would always be really hot and sweaty. And
Hmm.
like the only reason I'm able to notice those things is because everything is completely different now. Like I take something to lower my heart rate every day, but like I almost feel like I sort of am able to do it myself because of like meditation and breathing crap that I do to relieve stress because I'm always kind of a high strung person. Like my heart rate is now like normal where it should be. The sweating and stuff and always being hot now it's like I'm much more susceptible to cold and feelings of like cold and like, because I used to keep my place, like I keep it very cold because I'm always a hot natured person. Like even in the wintertime, like I'd keep it at like 60 degrees and I'd still be like, oh man, it's a little warm in here. But now it's like I always have to wear socks when I'm at home because I do still kind of keep it cool in here. But like my feet are always more susceptible to cold because I have hardwood floors. I don't have carpets or anything like that.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's little things like that you notice a lot more so than you did previously. But yeah, like the jaw was actually because of an earache that I had. And that's the whole reason I ended up going to urgent care. I went to urgent care for an earache, and that was kind of hurting my jaw. The night before, I hadn't even been to bed. Like I couldn't sleep because I had the heart racing thing. And I was going to my grandma's for lunch, and I called her up at like 9:30 in the morning. I was like, yo, I haven't been to bed yet. I'm just going to come over early and hang out, and then I'll come home and just crash. And she was like, okay, cool. And so I went over there to have lunch, and like I couldn't even eat. Like my jaw and my ear hurt so bad. So I was like, I'm going to stop at the urgent care on the way home. And so she gave me some food to take home. And I stopped at that urgent care, and they took my blood pressure, and they were like, they took it again and they took it again. And it was like the nurse that was taking it. And then she had the PA come in, and she was like, you need to go to the hospital right now, or else you're probably not going to make it till the end of the day. And I was like, oh, okay.
Shit, man.
Yeah, it was wild. They wanted to like call an ambulance. I was like, I do not have insurance. I will find a ride. They wouldn't let me drive. Like they were watching me and like kind of guarding the door to make sure I didn't go and try to drive myself. But I mean, I have an uncle who lives like real close to my grandma, and this was like 5 minutes away from there. So I called him up. I was like, hey, can you bring me to the ER? He's like, oh no, what's wrong? So he ended up going to the ER with me and just like staying pretty much like the whole day. I remember it was the Giants' first playoff game when they played against Minnesota, and they won.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I watched it completely out of it from the bed, just like, oh, go Giants. It would take me like 5 minutes to like register what was happening because they had me on so much shit.
That was something that I know a lot of people saw and were like really shocked that happened. And yeah, that was like really surprised too, because yeah, as we stated before, it happened right as soon as I had sent that message out. And it's one thing with life is like you can't really predict like how that stuff is gonna happen, because it's basically like a Christmas present. You don't know like what you're gonna get on that type of day.
I think it's just like, it was a matter of time before it would eventually catch up to me. But I always just felt like, I'm Iron Man. I rebound really well. This, that, and the other. Yeah, I smoke a pack of cigarettes a day. Yeah, I'll fucking eat Taco Bell every day for lunch. But I work out, so that should counteract that. And it's like in reality, it's not even that. It's like the sodium. I think that's what probably did me in the most, because like they did tests on me to see if like I had any clogged arteries and stuff like that. And like my arteries and stuff were actually all cleared out. It was just there's heart damage, and they couldn't really figure out why, besides the fact that my blood pressure was probably just so high for so many years, and my sodium intake was so bad because I was literally eating like 3,000 milligrams of sodium for lunch pretty much every day. Like
Holy
I'd go,
cow.
I'd get my quesadilla from Taco Bell that came with a soft taco, and I would get my Baja Blast, and that was like 3,000. It wasn't a lot of fat, it wasn't a lot of calories, and then I would run off like the fat and the calories, but the sodium, you can't really run that off. So, now it's like I'm looking at sodium labels and stuff like that, making sure this, that, and the other. It went from me eating like crap most of the time and eating healthy maybe 1 or 2 days a week and working out, to eating healthy all the time and eating like crap once or twice a month. And I think that's benefit. I mean, because now, just to say, I've had bad interactions with fruits, because like everyone's like, oh, you should eat fruits. So I'm like, okay, cool. I can get sick off of grapes. I can get sick off of blueberries. I have thrown up 3 times since I was released from the hospital because of fruit. Wow. Twice was because of grapes. Once was because of blueberries. I threw up last Saturday because of blueberries, and it's horrible because like, yeah, I don't understand why. I think it's the grapes. I think I was just eating too many of them, and like there's like fructose sugar in them that's like natural, but like it makes you really gassy and bloated. And I think that was what did me in. The blueberries, I don't fucking understand. I think I might have had like a stomach bug that just coincided with that, because that actually stuck with me until yet. Like not the sickness part. Like I threw up on Saturday, got over it. I didn't throw up anymore, but like just the queasy feeling. And like yesterday, I was so tired of it. I was like, I'm getting a pizza. I'm not going to make my healthy pizza. I'm getting a pizza from a local place and I'm going to eat a couple slices and I'm going to see what that does. And I ate a couple slices and I was fine. And I've been fine since. So it was like, maybe it was a bug, but yeah, I hate throwing up. It's been health wise, it's been a shit year for me this year. It's like, damn, 2023, slow down. But you take the good with the bad. Like, what can you do? You keep rolling.
Yeah, you need to like take some kind of rest stops every time like this year has been going by for some people. But yeah, that is as stated before is like really scary for some people to like go and experience something like that. Now, as far as like food and like other type of changes that you put into your diet, what is the one that you didn't think you were going to get adjusted to as quick as you are now? Or like let's say grilled chicken or something that would be like less sodium intake for you.
The thing I like doing is finding foods that I like that are low sodium.
Hmm.
There's this one company, I've been trying to get them to notice me. It's called like Real Good Foods, and they make these barbecue or not barbecue, buffalo chickens. They make regular chicken strips, but they also make buffalo chicken strips, and they're
Hmm.
so damn good. And you put them in the air fryer for like 12 minutes, and they're done and you just throw them on a salad or something or just eat them straight up and they're super low sodium. I love those. I've learned to make like healthy pizzas that are low sodium and low calorie, like it's like 500 something calories and like 300 something milligrams of sodium for like the whole entire pizza, and
Mhm.
it's like a 10-inch pie. So like that, and just making different types of chicken and potatoes and stuff like that, and just finding substitutes for stuff that you like, and even like condiments and stuff, being more conscientious of what kind of condiments you're using
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Of course, avoiding fast food for the most part. I think I've eaten Taco Bell 3 times since I've been home. So like once a month, I'll
Mhm.
get a Taco Bell meal just because I miss it. But like I said, I'm also on, tons of blood pressure medication and stuff. And now they finally got it nice and stabilized at a nice normal rate. So, we'll see how it goes. I'm obviously not gonna, the goal is to get off all of that stuff eventually. So I'm not gonna, revert to my old ways, but,
Now, I know that you mentioned about the pizza. So, as far as like crust, are you doing the cauliflower thing? Because I know that that's like a popular trend that some people are doing with their recipes to get healthier. But then there's like some that make the dough with like a different type of like item. I'm trying to think of like what it's called exactly. But was there
I
something
use,
different you'd used?
yeah, I use sprout grain crust, which I buy off Amazon. They come like 3 in a pack. They're a little pricey. I think it's like $8, $9 for the package or whatever.
Hmm.
But like, I just do that. I put oil, I put oregano, I have low sodium marinara sauce that I use. I put a couple handfuls of cheese, which translates to like maybe 250 milligrams of sodium.
Hmm.
Throw it in the oven. I'm done. It's delicious. You can eat the whole thing, and it's like 500 calories, like 400 milligrams of sodium.
Well, hopefully, some people will take the suggestion for something to put for a Friday night, because this is technically Friday, and I know there's like some people that get stuff to eat like for these type of weekend little gatherings. So, who knows? That might be something I'll actually pick up too. But yeah, that's one thing that I like to do a lot of the time is go onto something like Instagram and then see like some that people usually put up on there, or like go to like some other websites that offer other type of recipes too. Does it seem like you always are open to like trying new things that are out there, or is it just only something you usually play by ear or something that interests you on the side?
I just kind of find foods. I mean, I've always been like this, where I just find foods that I like, and then that's all I eat. And that's kind of why I got on the Taco Bell train, because
Mhm.
I was like, these quesadillas are so good. I'm gonna eat one of these every day because they're not all that bad for you. But I mean, in actuality, they were. I wasn't looking at the right things
Mhm.
with it. But yeah, I'm not very adventurous with my food. Like they were like, we need to try a Mediterranean diet with lots of fish. And I was like, no, I know I don't. I'll find some tuna fish that is low sodium, which I did find.
Hmm.
And I was like, I'll eat some tuna fish, but I'm not doing like salmon and crap. Like, I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm not gonna make myself like it, just to be healthier. But no, I mean, I've found a good balance, eating more greens and salads and stuff, and fruit when I can. I would love to just eat like 4 pounds of grapes, but I don't want to throw up anymore. So I try to limit all of my fruit intake because
Hmm.
I don't know what the hell's up with my stomach, but yeah.
All right, now that also brings up the next thing. Maybe as like an April Fool's Day joke for next year, would you do like a tiered list of favorite fruits?
See, it would be a very short list, but I mean, I could do something because I only like a few, like grapes, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries are kind of lower on the list. Watermelon, cantaloupe, pineapple, maybe an
Hmm.
apple, maybe a tangerine, orange. Kiwi's pretty good. I don't know. Maybe there are more fruits that I don't like. Kiwi's pretty good. Strawberries are good.
Oh yeah,
All right,
kiwis are awesome.
there's more fruit than I anticipated that I liked, but I think that's pretty much all the fruits that I
Hmm.
like.
Oh, excellent.
Citrusy ones are usually my favorite.
All right, well, cool. So, well, that may be a video for later on, but yeah, that's good to be able to see that you're doing well. And I know that we usually get guests on the show that either talk whether it's more mental health or just having like a healthier like living lifestyle. Because a lot of people want to be able to like go into the next year and beyond that and pretty much live a much more happier, healthy life. So, thank you for at least being able to open up about that. I know that sometimes it's usually hard for some people to even like go into whether it's grotesque detail about some surgeries they had to go through. There's like some habits that they had to fix for themselves.
Yeah, I've always just been kind of an open person. I mean, mental, I've also been doing a lot for that as well because I kind of got to a point where my head was just all screwed up. And so, like, I've been actively, adjusting medication that I've been on for, decades, and a new therapist, and actually having a therapist and someone to talk to, just about things in general. So yeah, like once I got out of the hospital, I was like, all right, I gotta fix this shit like this year. And it
Mhm.
sucks because in America you can't get health insurance until the end of the year, and then that's for next year. So everything's out of pocket for me, but it's like,
Mhm.
I'm good. Like, it'll be all right. I've found they put me on a payment plan at the hospital, which is fine. Like, no interest. I think it's like 3 or 4 years. I pay a couple $100 a month. Okay, whatever. That's fine. And then like the other doctor stuff, I just tell them straight up. I'm like, hey, I don't have insurance. So I don't want to do unless it needs to be done. I would rather not do it or do something similar but less intensive. And everyone's been very cool with that. So yeah, I guess I have a heart ultrasound on the 20th of this month, which is actually going to be one of probably the more expensive things, but that'll kind of give an indication because they said my blood work, that they noticed there was improvements in the blood work that would be related to the heart. So I guess they want to
Mhm.
see if the heart is repairing itself like they think it will be. So we'll kind of learn then what else is going on. I would imagine it has been, but I
Well,
guess
here,
that'll be more definitive.
yeah, well, here's hoping that it's good news, and once again, it's good that you're doing a lot better now than you were a few months ago. So, with that being said, we'll move on to some more brighter, happier little bits. I know that we always like getting into those details as well on the show. But one thing that I noticed on your hat is Nyx, and somebody else who is very close to the Knicks is none other than Eddie Kingston. Now, has there ever been times, because I know that you're a big wrestling fan, has there been times that people would compare you to Eddie Kingston based on certain opinions they have based on the hobby, or has it never been like that before?
No, once he signed to AE, I saw Eddie Kingston when he was in like Chikara, like 10, 12
Mm.
years ago. I was watching interviews with him and I was like, this guy looks a lot like me. And when we're angry, we talk very, very similar. His character is a lot like me when I get angry. And then when he signed with AEW, everyone,
Mhm.
that was it. When he came out and fought Cody Rhodes in AEW, that was it. Everyone was like, holy shit, it's RGT. And like, ever since he's been on TV, he's always coming out with like the Knicks sweatshirt and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So yeah, it's kind of like my brother from a different mother.
I don't know a lot of people have seen the video I'm talking about, but there was one that I remember when they were in Chicago, and it was for the weekend of the first dance. And there's a little bit, I don't even know if he was doing a promo, but you just see him in the hallway, or it was like in the front where it had the Michael Jordan statue, and there was the fence, and all of a sudden he's just shooting this like promo on fuck you, Michael Jordan. I love
Look
you.
at this.
Much
It's
respect.
sickening. Sickening.
Like, greatest of all time. But fuck you. You ruined my
Yeah, I mean,
childhood. Like, I fucking
yeah.
love that whole promo that he pulled on that statue. And it wasn't even a real person either. That was the one thing I do remember, like, recently with him. But yeah, as you said, back in Chikara, and even when he was in NWA, I remember him just being like one of the most energetic like promos that were out there. Was it like the same for you, or was it just like the mix of his wrestling style with his like promos work?
Oh, I was introduced to his promo work before the wrestling stuff. So
Hmm.
I was like, wow, this guy is a great talker. And if he has any sort of wrestling skill whatsoever, he should be, a superstar. But, he'll be the first one to admit it, that he was a victim of his own, stubbornness and stuff like that. And that's also something I can relate with, is, being extremely stubborn to a point of where it might cost you something, or it might, mess up an opportunity for you. And you look back at it in retrospect, and you're like, probably shouldn't have done that. But,
Hmm.
it is what it is.
Since we're on more pro wrestling talk now, I know that you've been watching wrestling for a while, but how far back does your knowledge of wrestling go?
I mean, I started watching in like 88 when I was like 3 years old. So,
Hmm.
pretty much around then, like I know some of the stuff from like the territory days and stuff, but growing up, it was always WWF. Um, I always viewed WCW as like a lower tier sort of thing, until I
Hmm.
moved to the South and the NWO started up. And then that was like, oh, wow, okay, WCW is for real. But yeah, I would say, like 87, 88 onward, I'm pretty well versed.
Okay, yeah, because I know that yeah, Monday Night Wars really started to kick off like in the '90s, and that was honestly probably around the time when I got started. But there was like a lot of people that beforehand who didn't really watch wrestling, and they talked about it like it was a soap opera. And that was kind of weird to like see that, and then you see like wrestling t-shirts in schools, and it was like some people were like either NWO black and white or the red and black.
Mhm.
Now as far as like during that era or like anything recently, like has there been one thing that you've watched, whether back then or now, that you think that there's no way that they could do something different? Like, let's say, for example, the lucha style or something like the PWG type of wrestling style that's out there now.
Well, I think it just kind of the evolution of wrestling, because while you had the Monday Night Wars going on, which featured at the top of the card, it featured your more standard traditional matches. You had your undercard with the luchadors. You had your hardcore stuff happening in ECW.
Mhm.
I honestly feel like the mid 90s to late 90s was the best in terms of things like innovation and revolutionizing things, and everything that you see in today's style, its roots are in that you can watch like Juventud Guerrera, Rey Mysterio best of three falls from ECW in like
Oh
95,
yeah.
96, and it still holds up. But then
Mhm.
you have these guys like Vikingo and Commander, who are just taking that lucha style to like acrobatic levels that nobody ever thought you would see. So
Mhm.
I do think that the some of the magic did kind of get lost after that era, though, and that was more so storyline wise, because I feel like, well, there has been, good storylines since then, obviously. I feel like storylines were just better, and the element of surprise, that's what made the Monday Night Wars so interesting. It's like, well, who's going to show up? You know, I heard somebody might show up from WCW on WWF Raw. No, I heard somebody from Raw is going to show up on WCW at 10 o'clock tonight. And that's what made things exciting. You had that element. Now today, it's like, you know, everything a week before it happens. You know, there's, you know, I know it's kayfabe, you know, but I mean, there's levels to the surprises and stuff like that. I think AEW does a decent job with surprises. Like I remember when they had Adam Cole debut, and then right after that, Bryan Danielson came out.
Oh,
Like that
yes.
was cool because a lot of people weren't sure that Bryan Danielson was going to show up, and so they did Adam Cole kind of as the fake out, and then Danielson came out. It's like, oh shit. You know, Moxley debuting in the company like that, but it never goes the other way, you know, because WWE could give two shits about, you know, taking an AEW guy, at least up until now, and
Yeah.
putting them in a spot on programming besides like Cody. You know, I think that mentality is starting to shift, but I still think it's going to take time. You know, if like Darby Allin, for whatever reason, were to sign with WWE, I don't think they would make a big deal about his debut. You know, I think it would have to be someone like a Cody or a Moxley, a Jericho, an Omega. I don't think a mid tier AEW guy or an upper tier, even an upper tier, but not like top of the card. I don't think it would have the same impact, or in WWE's eyes. In the fans' eyes, it probably would, but not in WWE's eyes.
I guess you could probably say the same thing for somebody like AJ Styles, because I know that when he made his debut at the Royal Rumble, a lot of us who like followed him even to like before he jumped over when he was doing his like one of his best matches with Shinsuke Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom that year. And to see him like be able to get to that type of level that he did, where he's like a multi-time WWE champion and has actually, he has not led a WrestleMania yet, from what I remember. But yeah, there's been a lot of good stuff he's been a part of. But yeah, I can see what you're saying about like some mid card wrestlers that are like from other companies. Because I know Kushida originally, what was it like? He was a junior champ, and then I think he joined NXT, and they didn't really do anything with him, I believe.
Yeah, he was always just stuck in that. I mean, even like look at Johnny Gargano. He was a part of NXT. He came up to WWE for a cup of coffee. They brought him back down to NXT because Tommaso got hurt. Then they let him go, and then they brought him back. He put him on Raw, big debut, and now where is he? He's back on NXT. Like I don't
Yeah.
understand. Like if you're doing it for money, okay, I understand. And Gargano is, you know, a little bit older. He's got a kid with his woman, you know, so they're both probably stacking paychecks. But I don't know. I would have looked, you know, because independent wrestlers, you look at someone like Matt Cardona, like he's making good money on the independent scene, like really good money. Like probably when you average it out, it could be potentially more than WWE when you're looking at merchandise, because you don't have to worry about getting just a small percentage of it. You get whatever you put into that merch, and then whatever you're charging plus extra, you know, you get on top of that. And stuff like that. So I feel like, you know, people like, you know, it's you can make as much as you want to make it just in the amount of time. You know, if you want to take a week off, you could take a week off. If you want to take a month off, you could take a month off. But, you know, if you want to grind for a month and, you know, make as much as you can, you could do that too. So I think the pro wrestling scene is very healthy in 2023, even though people are like, oh, WWE sucks, AEW sucks. It's like, okay, whatever. I mean, there's a million companies out there. There's tons of indie companies. There's tons of ways to make money. And like, really, that's what matters at the end of the day for the performers, is the ability to make money. Because that's, you know, you could talk about this, that, or whatever, passion, this, that, or whatever. Like, I get it. But you need to make money at the end of the day, because if you're not making money, you're not wrestling full time.
And yeah, that's perfect too, because I know another thing that they've been doing for a side hustle aside from going to indie shows, it's cool to see some of them doing either YouTube or just Twitch streaming. I know that most of the people from what was it originally with Up Up Down Down, and it was their group was called The Party, and it's Chugs, who is Adam Cole, and then Claudio. I'm trying to remember what his is it Cafe Claudio or something like that on
Yeah.
Twitch? And okay, yeah, because yeah, a lot of them are doing Twitch streams, and it's cool that they're still interacting with Xavier Woods, even though they're like in separate companies. But yeah, even Ethan Page doing his vlogs for the toy hunts, and especially getting Danhausen on there, who's been one of my personal favorite gimmick characters that are out there. But that's one that's either hit
He
or
got
miss with Jim Cornette.
he got Charlie on Ethan's vlogs too. Charlie's a buddy of mine.
Yeah, that's right. And another one that I was surprised to see was beat 'em ups, because I think that they
Mhm.
were interacting for a little bit before he got to be on one of the vlogs. So it was like after that happened, I was like, "Holy crap, that just happened!" So maybe other video game personalities will be able to do some in-person vlogs with Ethan one day.
There's a lot of crossover between pro wrestling wrestlers and video game YouTubers. I've learned, like,
Mhm.
I've had so many different wrestlers like reach out to me and like, oh, I watch your stuff. Jamie Hayter,
Oh, really?
the AEW, yeah, she's a huge fan of mine. Like, because
Holy crap!
because because I was talking to Charlie and he was like, "Oh, Jamie wants to say hi. Follow her on Instagram or follow her on Twitter so she can write you a message." And I was like, "Okay." And she was like, "Oh yeah." Like when I was in the hospital, she was like, "If you need anything, just let me know. I'll do whatever I can to help you out." I was like, "I'm good, thank you." But yeah,
Holy
she's super sweet.
crap! Yeah, that's awesome to see that. Yeah, the AEW Women's Champion just wished
Yeah.
you well done your way to recovery. So that's cool that there's wrestlers that you're either a fan of or that you're aware of that just watch your stuff. So it's like you don't really know who to expect whenever it comes to fans of your content. So that's still cool that there's people that are like from all walks of life that just watch your stuff.
Yeah, it's really weird, but yeah, it's definitely very cool.
Okay, so I guess the only other thing wrestling related, and I know that this is honestly the biggest one for the month and probably for the year, WWE being sold off to Endeavor, which we kind of expected was going to happen, but a lot of people were worried that it was going to be Saudi Arabia that was going to pick it up. So with how the interview with Vince, I mean, we can look at that as it is, or like its own category, but the sell off, like, did you expect Endeavor to be able to buy the product, or did you think that it was going to be like something like Comcast or the crazy one being Disney that was the other choice?
I think a lot of players were interested, but at the end of the day, I think Endeavor makes the most sense. I just want to see because in the intermittent, obviously nothing's really crazy is going to change or anything like that. I want to
Mhm,
see a year or two from now what the situation is like because there's a reason why you hear a lot of turmoil in UFC
mhm,
because some people aren't getting paid jack shit to fight, and it's like, well, this is going to be the same company that owns WWE. So what are they going to do with their sort of pay rates and stuff like that?
no, that makes
Benefits
sense.
and this, that, or the other. I think it's going to be and it could be very healthy for competition. Not even just for AEW and Impact, but
Mhm,
potentially other companies could rise from something because there's a lot of people that are upset that Vince is back in the fold and they were pretty much lied to, and then the company got sold. What does this mean for the Peacock deal? I would
oh,
assume that
yeah.
WWE is no longer going to be on Peacock because UFC doesn't have a streaming thing for their pay-per-views. You have to pay
Mhm,
money for them every single time there's one. You think that they're not going to want to do that with WWE?
mhm,
And if you're going to do that, you have to make a better product because most of these pay-per-views are not worth anything. Half the time, they're
yeah.
not worth my time to watch them.
Mhm.
Never mind giving you money. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what ends up happening.
Yeah, especially with what was it, like the last 9 months? I don't remember of like any other important storylines aside from the bloodline stuff. But that was mostly because of like the interactions with Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and then there was like some other people involved with that. But yeah, it was like aside from that, it didn't seem like there was a lot storyline wise that they were focusing on. And I think that that will probably play a big part into the next few years. So if it's anything like what we saw this past Monday at like the Raw after Mania, that might
Uh,
tend to worry a lot of people. I know that much.
that was one of the worst 3 hours of show I've ever watched.
Yeah, and poor Cody, because especially after like you could probably look at the whole match as it was on Sunday, and I thought he was fine, but the ending is what a lot of people will remember the most. And then, yeah, after he got brutally destroyed by Brock, yeah,
Yeah.
that was rough.
Well, they did it because they don't they're not wanting to have people be like, "Oh, when's the rematch with Cody for the belt? Is that when he's going to win it?" No, you just bought yourself tons of time because now you got a feud with Brock, and Cody just looks, I mean, he looks like a bitch. He
Yeah.
looks he looks like a bitch. He did all this shit. My dad, my dad, my dad. Oh, look, my wife, my kid are here.
And
Brody Lee's
finish the
son is
story,
here.
yeah.
Finish the story. Then
Yeah.
he didn't finish the story. You went out the next night and said you were the better man than me. It's like, mother, this dude
But he
cheated on his own
cheated, yeah.
fucking man. You should be pissed off. You should be burning down the arena to the point to where you demanded. You should have gone full stone cold. Instead, you went,
Yeah.
it's fully limp and just acted like a bitch. And you're like, oh, okay, I'll do a tag team match with Brock Lesnar against you. And then there, you got a month or two of story because you know Brock's not going to show up every week. So you got
Mhm.
at least a month or two of storyline out of that. Video packages, this, that, and the other. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it was funny because I remember that a lot of people were making the same comparison to Lex Luger, but the problem is Lex Luger he celebrated based on what was it, a DQ and they get like
Yeah.
streamers and stuff. I remember seeing that and I just like why should I be happy that he didn't win a match technically?
Well, that was because he fucking talked out his ass supposedly at a bar the night before and said he was winning, and then like a newspaper
Oh
ran it.
yeah.
And Vince got pissed and he was like, okay, you're not going to win anymore. But I mean, that was stupid too because you're sabotaging yourself by
Mhm.
doing that. Like, just
Yeah.
let him win and then, just have a short reign. But yeah, that was horrible. That's what, or SummerSlam 93? I think
I
it was the
want to
Lex
say,
Express.
yeah, it was one of the worst years aside from maybe 1995, because I hardly remember anything around 95 aside from WCW.
No, it wasn't 93 because 93 you still had because Hogan, it must have been 94
Hmm.
because Hogan dropped the belt to Yokozuna in night at King of the Ring 93, I believe, and then he went off into the sunset. I think.
Yeah. This is the one thing about the podcast recording is just trying to figure out what year had that bad Lex Luger bit that they had in for WWF.
Yeah, because yeah, that's what it was. Because Luger in '93, yeah, because King of the Ring is when Hogan dropped the belt. He left the company. He was supposed to come back, but he never did. '93, you had Luger doing the narcissist gimmick, and then in
Oh yeah.
'94, in July. Okay, wait, now it's coming back to me. July '94, he body slammed Yoko on the USS
Oh,
Intrepid,
that's right, yeah.
and so yeah, okay.
God, my memory is really bad when it comes to like some old stuff because I forget a lot of the time, and then after somebody mentions about it, it's just like it's a smack of nostalgia that it's like, oh yeah, that did happen. I think that's kind of why a lot of people tend to forget about 2007 to 2010 WWE because that was like the weirdest period where everything didn't make much sense and it was just nostalgia acts were starting to get really stale and then all of a sudden you had the pipe bomb promo in 2011 and then I think that ended up changing a lot hopefully for the better for like mainstream wrestling fans.
Yes, that was a weird time frame because you even had in '06 you had like the ECW reunion, which started out really
Oh
good and then
yeah.
it turned to absolute shit.
Yeah, even the 2005 I was about to say hardcore homecoming but that's like a completely different independent show.
Yeah,
But
That was
yeah,
Shane Douglas's thing.
yeah, and it was like, uh, who was the other one that was supposed to be on the show? Terry Funk, I think, was supposed to be on the WWE CW pay-per-view, but then something
Yes,
happened
and
and he was on the other one.
yeah, in '05. In '06, he was on the show though, because him and Tommy Dreamer went up against Edge and
Oh yeah,
Foley,
yeah,
was
that's
it?
right. Because Foley was on the heel little thing for a
Yeah,
bit. Yeah, actually, 2006. I do remember because Edge later on in the evening had that what was it, the biker helmet, and he speared John Cena through the table, and then he took that off. Yeah, I do
right.
remember that bit. Um, but yeah, I think wrestling has so much talk that's out there, and I guess the only other thing that I want to see from you personally, and this is one that is like back to the 90s era, because there's like one dream match that a lot of people wish would have happened, but never did. Undertaker versus Sting. Which
Mhm.
side are you on for that type of debate? Because I know that a lot of people were either one for the Crow Sting or one for Ministry of Darkness Undertaker. So, uh, pick which one you were more side of, or if you were like, screw both of them, I didn't really care.
Sting by far.
Hmm.
I love the Undertaker, but in terms of at their peak,
Mhm.
Sting was a better. It was a bigger deal than the Undertaker.
Mhm.
By foot, Sting was a bigger deal than Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was a bigger deal than the Undertaker. So just by at their peak Hulk Hogan was from the '90s. We're not going to do
Mhm.
'80s Hogan.
Oh yeah.
Peak '90s Hogan was bigger than peak '90s Undertaker, but peak '90s Sting was bigger than peak '90s Hogan because that was the ultimate foil to the NWO. So yeah, it's got to be Sting. And Sting's had a better career. Sting's had a longer career. He's still going. He
Mhm.
still wrestles, and he hasn't gotten to the point where he's embarrassed himself. He's never had like a big scandal or anything like that. Like Sting is the greatest of all time. If we take everything into consideration, longevity, match quality, style, impact, storylines, companies worked for,
Mhm.
I think Sting is the greatest of all time.
Trying to think of one match that actually, yeah, Starcade '97. I would honestly say is one that I wish would have had like a better execution, because like that build up
Mm.
where he didn't say a single word for like almost a entire year, and then you get to that, and then it was like Bret Hart had to get involved in the finish, and it just like it screwed so
Hmm.
many things up. I remember my what was it? My cousin had ordered the pay-per-view, and it was like the whole show we enjoyed, and then it was just that one match that kind of like soured it for a lot of us. And yeah, that was like what WCW's biggest pay-per-view number that they had ever done in company history, I think.
Oh yeah, like that and the whole bait and switch with Kevin Nash versus the Giant that was supposed to be on there, and then Nash no showed because allegedly there was something with his father or something. I
Mhm.
don't really know. Um, but yeah, it's just a shame that the execution on it was so shitty.
All right, so since we got a lot of wrestling stuff out, and I could honestly keep going for like another 2 hours just on that alone, because that's one of my favorite hobbies is just pro wrestling. And Rampage is on tonight, and I'll have to catch the replay of that. But we haven't even gotten to talk about your background with your YouTube channel, and now we're finally on that. You started in 2015, I believe, and you originally were just a lot of retro gaming topics that you had for the channel, but over time, you grew into just talking about like everything video gaming that's out there. Um, so remind me and everybody else watching, how was it that you finally got the courage to, or not courage, like what made you want to start getting into video content creating for YouTube? Was there just some other content creators like James Rolfe or game chasers that you were interested in, or was it just something else that you were driven by?
Well, it all started back in 2014 on a different channel than my main channel. I was working for a website called Nintendo Enthusiast, and they had a YouTube channel with like 1,000 subscribers. And I was like, I'm gonna make videos on this channel. And they were like, do you know how to make videos? I was like, nope, I'll figure it out. And like these are some of the worst fucking videos on YouTube. Like I had a 480p webcam and a lamp.
Oh
And like
god.
that was my setup. And I used Windows Movie Maker to edit the videos. And it was terrible, but I got better. They hired someone around the same time that they had me making videos who had like a rig, a backdrop, the lapel mics, and all this stuff. And so we grew that channel to like pretty decent numbers. And then I wanted to do other stuff on the channel, and it didn't really fit the channel. So I was like, well, maybe I'll make my own channel. And so I made my own channel. And then over time, that started being more successful, and I was really making more money than I was working for the website and doing their YouTube videos. So I ended up just being like, hey, it's just been great, but I'm gonna move on to what's doing better for me. And they were completely cool with it. And then yeah, it started out as retro stuff, and then I started dabbling into the modern stuff, and I was just like, I'm just gonna talk about whatever I want. And people are like, oh, you just do Nintendo because it's easy views, which
Hmm.
first and foremost, it's not. It's not first and foremost, it's not all I do. I'm not a Nintendo YouTuber. Second off, if you knew anything about my history in the quote unquote video game industry, I first started in 2012 writing for a website, and I was the Nintendo guy because I had a 3DS and a Wii U. I wrote for a Nintendo website until 2017. I made videos for a Nintendo YouTube channel until 2017. It's kind of my background, so I kind of know a lot about it, but it's not the only thing I talk about. So, it was always very weird to me how people were like upset by it. And it's like, well, if you knew anything about me, you would know that eventually it was going to bleed into this channel. I just got bored. I got bored with the retro stuff because to me, it's like, how many times can somebody review Super Mario Brothers? Like, could somebody bring something different to a Super Mario Brothers review in 2023? No, they can't. And like, I still talk about retro stuff. I actually have a video that might go up within the next day or two that's for retro stuff, but it has to be something different or just something unique. If it's just standard stuff, I'm just not interested in it.
Yeah, especially if there's some channels that try to do something differently. I'm trying to think of the channel. I think it's called Retro Break, because they talk about like game glitches, and sometimes they would be in like older video games, but also more modern. And they, I think, did one on, I want to say, Resident Evil 8 that they did a video on where they were talking about Lady Dimitrescu, where it's like they showed her going around the map, and then you see her like clip out of the map and go teleport over to a different side. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
there's like a bunch of different videos, like even some that,
Oh,
yeah,
Boundary Break. Boundary
Boundary
Break.
Break. That was the one. I don't know why I said Retro Break, because of the Japanese and then the English version, because I know there was
Hmm.
one for Mario 3 that they did a video for. But yeah, it's that was one of the channels that I remember just checking out of like out of curiosity because it was in recommendations. Brought that up, like, has there ever been like some content creators that you get inspired by to make a certain video topic of? Because I know the one that you did recently was on the whole DK oldies situation that's going on, and I know that that's been milked to death like for like the past year or so. Has that was there like a reason why you wanted to do those type of videos before, or was it just because you didn't talk about DK oldies at all before?
I hadn't really talked about it all that much, and I was kind of the mindset where it was like, unless I had a reason to, I wasn't going to talk about it. But I feel like the potential looming lawsuit was actually something substantial instead of making 20 videos in a month about DK oldies, which I
Hmm.
mean, it's just overkill. But I mean, at the same time, people get pissed off about it. Oh, you're milking it, this, that, and the other. People are still watching the stuff.
Oh
You
yeah.
got to give the people what they want. If people are watching a certain type of content that you're making, you have to lean into it, especially if the numbers are comparatively better than other stuff. I wouldn't my DK oldies videos don't necessarily do a lot better than my non DK oldies videos.
Mhm.
So I don't really care all that much. It was just something I found interesting. But for other content creators, it's some of their best performing stuff. So of course they're gonna lean into it. But no, I try not honestly, I try not to watch like a lot of content that's similar to mine or people that I think are similar to me
Mhm.
because I don't want to get like influenced and subconsciously make a video that somebody else has made because it's actually happened to me before. There's a N64 YouTuber named Glenn Plant who I've known for quite a while, and I must have watched one of his videos when I was like half asleep or something because I ended up making a video that was just like his. And he was like kind of like weirded out about it. And he made like a joke, but people thought that he was being serious about it. And I looked and he had made a video like 3 days prior, and it was the same topic, like N64 mature rated games, like looking at all the
Mm.
N64 mature rated games. And I was like, holy shit, I must have watched this when I was I was like, dude, I would never fucking try to rip off your video. He was like, no, I know. It was just weird. Like, I just thought it was weird. I took down the joke and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, I'm sorry, dude. He was like, no, 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 it's cool. It's cool. But like, yeah, I try not to watch like I don't
Mhm.
watch any of my friends' videos. I don't watch them. I just don't.
Yeah, it's funny that you mention about that because they were talking about like some skits that they did on YouTube, and I'm trying to think of the channel's name. Is Auntie Dana or something? I can't remember. I know that they had a Christmas special about pudding this past year, and I recommend that to anyone watching. But yeah, they were talking about how some people were comparing the video they made to a skit that those people did. And I think that that's happened a lot lately where I think a lot of content creators are having like a hard time coming up with video ideas because afraid to like step on toes. Has that been for you at like times, or is it just only things that interest you enough but you're not really that worried about, trying to copy somebody's content by mistake?
I mean, it's an inevitability that people are going to make similar content because there's so many content creators in a sphere, um, you know, doing the same sort of shit. So
Mhm.
of course there's going to be it's just like music, There's songs that come out that are being recorded at the same time that end up sounding very similar, but there's no collusion. Like it's just circumstance. Um
Mhm.
so I do think that that is an inevitability, but I personally I don't care because I know like I don't really watch other people's stuff. And if I do watch it, the reason I'm watching it is because I'm going to potentially counteract what they're saying in a video or something like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, I never let it really influence me or anything like that because I really don't watch a lot of content that's similar to what I do.
All right, cool. So I guess since we're still talking about some video content that's out there, especially since you're a part of it, and we'll get to like the last bit because I had stuff about your video game collection, and that was one big one. But the Spawncast. Now I know that you've been a part of that for I'm trying to remember like how many episodes now, and that that's usually one that happens during Saturdays, I believe, is whenever y'all do the recording for those, or am I thinking of a different date?
No, we do it Saturday night
Mhm.
at 9 p.m. We do it live.
Guess the only other thing is I know that they originally just do video gaming news because originally hard news was like the way people got their information, and now their Screamwave is doing or not. Is it Scream? No, Spawnwave.
Yeah.
I, I'm thinking of a different company or something like that. It's the S's kind of blend together. Um, so how was it that you got to be involved with the Spawncast? Because I know that he usually doesn't really contact a lot of people to be on the show unless they have like a I guess like a popularity to him or something. So how was it that you got to be involved with the podcast nowadays?
Well, I mean, when he started that, like, he wasn't really anybody big, and I wasn't anybody big.
Mhm.
After like the third or fourth episode, he just reached out. He's like, "You want to come on my show?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I didn't really know him all that well, and then it turns out that I ended up moving very close to him just out of circumstance, like a couple months later.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah. So then like because like I know I wasn't full time when I started on the Spawncast, and I don't even think he was full time when, and I was on like the third or fourth episode onward. um so yeah, it was just a thing where he just tried different people to see, if there's a dynamic and stuff like that. And then once he kind of got, because I remember like Max and we both weren't at 100,000 subscribers. I don't even think John was at I mean, obviously that's a lot of subscribers, but when you
Mhm.
look at where John is now, like, that's way in his rearview mirror. So
Oh, yeah.
now we all just kind of got together, and like I knew Player Essence from way back when, so I was comfortable with him. But yeah, it was kind of a revolving door at first, but then when he kind of got like a group that he liked for whatever reason, because people complain about certain people that are on the show, but certain people are on the show for a reason.
Mhm.
And I think what makes the show different than a lot of other video game podcasts is that it's a show. It's not everyone just agreeing. I hate podcasts like that. I don't
Mhm.
I don't watch podcasts like that. I think it's so boring to have no conflict or no different ideology or no sort of, differentiating opinions. And like that's because I obviously disagree with a lot of things that people say on the show. People disagree with things I say, all for everyone. And John will kind of feed into that. John's a very sneaky motherfucker. People think he's this little innocent little guy. No, he's a fucking sneaky motherfucker. He loves to push buttons. He knows how to push buttons. He will go out of his way to push people's buttons. It's just the way he does it is in a very calm demeanor, and you never pick up on it. But I pick up on it instantly because I've known him for so long.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's kind of how that all got started and stuff, and we just kept doing it. Like, I mean, we used to, it used to be super small, man. I remember, like 100 people would show up for the live show, and we'd be like, yeah, cool. And now it's like thousands of people show up, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's incredible. Now, since you were talking about like the podcast that you're not listening to, would you say that this one in particular would be considered into that category, or would you say that it's something a little bit different?
No, it's different.
Mhm.
Like, you don't have, if there was like multiple people on here and we were all just kumbaya agreeing on something, that's more of what I'm talking about. This is just like a one-on-one, so it's going to be different than going over various topics with various people, and then all these
Mhm.
people just happen to, I mean, it's like IGN's podcasts are, I know people at IGN. Shout out to Brian, he pretty much runs IGN nowadays. I
Mhm.
think IGN's podcasts are fucking horrible, because half the time the people don't know what they're talking about, and the other half the time they're agreeing on subjects that are factually incorrect. And it's just ridiculous to me. It's like, wow, how are you in this position of like talking about stuff that you don't know what you're talking about? But yeah, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, and that's kind of why a lot of people don't even follow their reviews because they're just, and it's like they don't really make any sense, and then all of a sudden it's like they get a random high score, even though they were like shitting all over the product, and it's like I don't know how they came up with that conclusion. Sure one.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're very strange at times.
I guess now we get to the last thing that I wanted to pick your brain about. Now, this one is very important to a lot of people whenever it comes to collecting or just being able to hold physical media, whether it's just because of the artwork or to be able to reminisce about like a time honored past. For you recently, you I would assume that you had a lot of internal debate on if you wanted to hold on to this stuff, because I know sometimes people have like a really hard time wanting to get rid of something that they cherished back in the olden days. So, what was it at the very moment when you wanted to get rid of your collection, or like most of the stuff that was in your collection? Was it more of just a monetary reason, or was it just a matter of like you don't have a lot of time in the day to be able to play these older games where you can just emulate it at any given notice if you want.
No, it had nothing to do with money stuff. A lot of people thought it did. I was like trying to pay my medical bills with it, but I was like, nah, I'm good.
Mhm.
I just, it was sitting there. It was shelf collecting. That's what it was. It was just sitting on a shelf. I haven't, I moved into this place a year and a half ago now. I had never played a single N64 cartridge that I had, a single NES cartridge I had, a single Super Nintendo cartridge I had, very limited GameCube, very limited Wii, so on and so forth. And it's just sitting there, and it's like, well, why do I have this? Like, this 95% of these titles mean absolutely nothing to me. I didn't even grow up with a Super Nintendo. Why do I have all these Super Nintendo games? So I just decided to try and sell everything. This stuff that you see here,
Mhm.
this is my keep pile essentially. A couple games here and there, one PlayStation 1 game that was somewhat sentimental to me.
Mhm.
Couple one PlayStation 2 game was sentimental to me. It was just like I was just keeping things that I have a specific memory attached to because it was never about collecting. I collected stuff because I didn't have a way to play these games easily on other things such as emulation and mini PCs. I was
Mhm.
unfamiliar with it. And then as time went on, I just started amassing all of this stuff. And it was like, I'm not even playing this stuff. I'm not even able to enjoy it because you got to dig out a system. You got to find a way to put it up. Find some RCA cables or component cables or RGB cables or this, that, and the other. And it's just like I don't know. I was just tired of it,
Mhm.
honestly. And I had so much stuff, and my shelves were overflowing. And I was like, I want out, man. Like I never got into this and this isn't even, my original collection of stuff has
Mhm.
been long gone. I quit a job when I was like 21 or 22. I walked out and I had no backup plan. I was living paycheck to paycheck. So what did I do? I sold my collection. None of
Mhm.
this is really original stuff. None of this is from my childhood. The latest some of this is from is when I was like 18 or 19. So, even then it's like that's not really nostalgia. You were buying retro stuff when the stuff was already old. So,
And affordable.
right. So, and that's another thing. Like this,
Mhm.
the hobby, honestly, collecting is disgusting nowadays. Like
Yeah.
everything costs so fucking much. Emulators run these games better than the original systems do. Like I've been
Mhm.
messing around with PlayStation 1 emulation and it's amazing. It's amazing how you can upscale the internal resolution and make the games literally look better. All your frame meisters, all your retro tinks, all fine devices to play to upscale the image, but you're not actually changing the image and making the image clearer. With internal resolution upscaling, you're making the actual image clearer and better. I actually have a video on it that will be going up in a day or two. But like it's so much better to me. Like it's so and like I'm keeping systems that are hard to emulate like a PS3. Okay, I'm keeping a
Mhm.
PS3. I'm keeping some PS3 games, PS4. I'm keeping PS4 games I play on my PlayStation 5, but like anything that's easy, like PS2 and down, yeah, goodbye. Like I don't need it. I play it on my mini PC, and if my mini PC for some reason can't handle a certain game, I'll just take my little 10 terabyte drive and walk from that TV over to here and plug it into my work PC, and then boom, it
Mhm.
works on that, and I'll sit here and play it. Like I've been playing more retro games with this mini PC than I would have without it.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, you can see like I've got Totes. He's coming in a couple days to pick everything up. I got Totes here. I'm just surrounded by Totes. I'm not completely done. I'm probably like 75% done packing stuff, and I kind of have to finish up soon. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it though. I'm looking forward to having space, this, that, and the other. So it'll be good.
Yeah, and that was the other thing I was gonna ask. Actually, I'll get to that question in just a second. Now the one thing that I noticed with like some content creators, whenever it comes to if they were collecting as a hobby and making video content on the side, would you say that that might have also played a factor into it since you technically do video gaming content, or was it just a matter of you didn't have any time at all to be able to like mess around with something on a Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis if you want to?
I'm It was the struggle to me was I don't have one of those cool setups where everything is plugged in all at once, and you could do this, that, or the other. And like,
Mhm.
even if I did have it, I don't necessarily feel like I would have the same motivation, because with emulation, you're constantly, you can play it just as it sits, or you can go around and mess around with settings. You're like, oh, maybe I can use this filter and make it look better, and this, that, and the other. And it's just like it's so much more exciting to me. It's so much more reinvigorating to me than just playing. And if you're one of those people who loves to play on a CRT with original hardware, and the fucking AV out, like, composite out, great. Like,
Mhm.
that's awesome. I'm glad you enjoy it. But for me personally, I moved on from it. Like, I've spent a lot of time doing that. I've seen the light with emulation, and I thoroughly enjoy it more. I'm still gonna buy video games. If I think of a video game, like, I was surprised they didn't have Samurai Showdown on the Sega Genesis, because that was a game that I had nostalgia for. I don't know. Maybe I'll buy it one day.
Mhm.
Like, I can do that. It's not like, I'm just getting rid of, like, looking at my N64 stuff here. Quake
Mhm.
2, no attachment. Rainbow Six, no attachment. Resident Evil 2, technically wasn't even mine. It was my old housemate's. Tony Hawk Pro Skater on the N64. No, I played it on PlayStation 1. Mortal
Mhm.
Kombat Trilogy, Pokemon Snap, this, that, and the other. It's like, none of these games matter to me. I don't care about any of them. So why am I just letting them sit on a shelf and rot away?
That's a good enough answer. Yeah, because there was a lot of stuff on N64. I know some people haven't really played either. So yeah, that was the main thing I wanted to ask you about, because I know some content creators just have like a hard time trying to find any free time in their schedule or like in their life because they have so much going on that they're just not able to play this stuff. But coming back around to you selling, because I know that a lot of people are wondering this. When you decided to go with Caleb for as your main choice to be able to sell this off, what was it that to you basically just wanted to go with him as opposed to any other choices? And if you could, like, tell other people like who those other individuals were that you were in contact with.
It was a bit overwhelming
trying to I mean, it was easy because he was the one that I talked to the most. He was the most responsive. I got to a point where I got fucking tired because I inventoried every game that I had on all three of my shelves, and I still had so much more stuff to do, and I had an astronomical number for the value.
Mhm.
And so I was talking with several different people, a couple stores, this, that, and the other, and I sent them all the same message. I said, if you ever watch Saw, because we're going to play a game here. Okay. Now, this is the current value of this lot. This is a dollar amount that I want. If you give me this dollar amount, I will end the inventory, and everything else that I add into it will be yours for completely free. Or if I don't hear from you within 2 days, I'm going to keep adding stuff to it, and this price is going to continually go up. So, make a choice if you want to do it. And he jumped right at it. He was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Like,
Okay.
okay. See you later.
Now
Yeah, I mean,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, you're good. You're good.
The only other thing I was gonna say, well, I don't know if you're gonna be comfortable revealing a full amount. Would you say that it was close to 6 or somewhere around like the 5-figure amount?
Oh no, it was 5 figures.
It was. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, because I know that some people don't want to try to reveal much info on it because some people think it's like
You
a
got to
bit too
remember,
personal. Yeah.
the thing of it is like, I'm going for a bulk lot here. I'm not going for, if I sold these items individually, I would have gotten way more money.
Mhm.
But I don't care to. I don't really need to. Like, this money that I'm getting, probably, a quarter of it is going to go into the stupid car I bought last year that I overpaid for, and still runs kind of crappy. Like, I'm going to fix that up because
Mhm.
I don't know, like, I'm good, with everything else. My bills are fine. So, yeah, like, he got a good deal. I was happy with the amount. He'll make money off of it, and everyone wins. You would be surprised at how hard it is to buy a bulk, or how hard it is to sell a bulk lot. I'm
Mhm.
friends with a ton of people, vendors, stores, this, that, and the other. Once you start talking big boy money, once you start talking big boy money, they
Mhm.
disappear. And I'm not even talking really all that crazy. I was trying to get rid of, like, a value of like $5 or $6 worth of stuff when I moved in here, just so I'd have less stuff to move in. And I was looking for like 2,500 to $3,000. And I hit up all of these people I knew, friends, stores. The sound of 2,500 to $3,000 like scared the fuck out. And no one wanted, oh, that's too much for me. That's that and the other. I'm like, bro, we're not even talking big money. You know who I sold it to? DK Oldies. DK Oldies ended up paying me what I wanted, and that was it. I was like, okay, worst comes to worst, I'll use you again when I fucking sell most of my stuff. But yeah, no, I'm totally happy. And plus, I'll make money off, making videos about it and shit like that, because we're gonna play it up. I've got the NES stuff and the Super Nintendo and the N64 stuff left, so we can put it in a tote together and have some B-roll for the video. Don't no, I'm completely happy with it. I'm completely happy with the amount of money that I got, and I don't know why people think I'm gonna regret it. Like, I don't regret anything in life. People say, oh, don't you regret smoking cigarettes and eating shitty and ending up in the hospital? No, I don't. Because everything in life gets you to the moment where you are at right now. And I'm happy where I'm at right now. So I'm not going to regret this, because I don't regret anything in life. And I've done some terrible things in life, and I don't regret it, because it's what brought me to this moment. So, there's no point in it, in my opinion, but, just to each their own.
Actually, I'm kind of surprised that you threw that in at the very last minute, because that right there, I think, was a good way to finish the interview off. And we did have, we were going to be able to do the 5 count, but there's not enough time to be able to do it for this recording. Maybe when we do like a follow-up, because there's a lot of stuff that we covered over in this recording. But RGT85, this was a pleasure to be able to get you on for the recording. I didn't think that we were going to be able to get into it at the time, but I'm just glad that you're doing better and that people were able to hear you for this, because we had people request this one ever since I started doing interviews again. But yeah, this was a pleasure to have you on, man.
Thanks for having me on. I had fun, and yeah, we'll chop it up again sometime. Whenever something's going on or something's changed. But yeah, it was a good time, and you had a good show.
Excellent. So, for everybody who is watching this right now, you can follow this man over on YouTube at youtube.com/RGT85. Or you can be able to follow him over on Twitter at RGT_85. I had to double check because the camera is blocking the thing right now. If there's anything you want to tell the people at home right now of like things that are coming up in the future, or if you want to give them like final words of encouragement, you can pretty much do that if you want to as well.
Do my philosophy, don't live with regret, because everything brought you to the moment where you're at right now. And, enjoy your life. Life is short, time is precious. Make the most of it. Don't do drugs.
That's a simple enough finale answer. All right, well, thank you very much for being on the recording. This was awesome, and we'll be able to catch up with you. Hopefully, maybe the next recording you'll break 500,000, because you're about 30,000 away from hitting that mark.
Yeah, like 40 away. I think I'm at 458.
And that's incredible to see make that progress, like 500,000 subs. So
that's my cap, though. I'll never be a million subscribed to YouTuber, because I don't play nice, and I don't play by the rules. So,
well, people watching this, help this man get to 1 million subs to prove him wrong. But anyways, RGT85, thank you for being on for the recording. This was a pleasure to have you on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Had fun.